Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, back with another video for you guys. I'm here to do two videos. One's a Dark Shadows video. This video, though, is by request. It was requested by a friend and fellow YouTuber, Darnell Weeks, the Myers fan. Shout out to him. So he requested that I give a prediction to ends. What do I think is going to happen? I'm going to stick with the prediction I've always given, and that is that Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, is so out of her goddamn mind that the events of 2018 kills and ends has all played out in her mind. The events did not happen. She's in her room having this all happen in her head. That's how out of her mind she is. And you might say, well, what makes me think that? There was a little in 2018, and the really the most thing they show you in 2018 is Laurie seeing Michael walk through fire, which is weird considering what happens later in the movie, right? That he gets set on fire, because that's what it looked like to me anyway. And this became more pronounced in in kills. And let me tell you what I mean. I've seen both the teaser and the theatrical trailer to Ends. Okay. So, number one, let's look at the character of Karen for a second. Here's Karen, supposedly the daughter of Laurie Strode. And I say that supposedly. Supposedly, Karen suckered Michael twice, runs back to the Myers house to comfort her daughter. I'm going to get into that here after this. Then she looks up for no fucking reason up at the Myers house window, and what does she see? She sees a vision, or whatever, hallucination, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of little Michael Myers. Okay. I have heard many YouTubers try to explain this, and none of their explanations make one fucking lick of sense. None. None. Not a goddamn one. Because there is no explaining that. There isn't. Then she goes in the house, and then Michael appears. Now, I'll say this before I'll get back into the hallucination. That this is all play out in Laurie's mind. When you're seeing Michael take apart the people, like he's killing them, that's already happened by the time they've gotten back to the house. By the time Karen has gotten back to the house, that's already happened. That's what I would say. But again, to me, this is all playing out in someone's mind. So none of this has really happened. And again, this is where it gets into the why. Karen goes up into the Myers house. She gets murdered. After she's murdered, two phones ring. One is the Myers house, the other is Karen's cell phone. Michael answers one of them and begins breathing. Now, for those who are going to go and say, well, one of the phone calls was from Allison. No, it couldn't have been. Allison's cell phone was lost in 2018. She never got it back. Now, again, There's no justification for this woman seeing little Michael Myers, for going back into that house. Then there's 2 phone calls made. That makes no fucking. One person did not make 2 phone calls. I don't give a shit. It doesn't make sense. It only makes sense is if this is one big fucking hallucination by a person who's so psychotic, whose mind is so broken, who's so obsessed with Michael Myers. By the way, these 3 films, even, and you can really see it in the theatrical trailer. Who's been obsessed with Michael Myers for all 3 films? Laurie Strode. Who's been fixated on Michael Myers? All 3 films. Laurie Strode. And you can say, well, Allison did. Allison. Let me make one thing clear. Are all the characters in Laurie's version story that's going on in her head, are they real? Yes. They all work at that fucking hospital. Allison's her nurse. Karen is a nurse. What's the guy? Hawkins is the head of security. That or he's the sheriff, one or the other. Take your pick. Sartain is a doctor there. He's a real doctor. They're all real. That's why they're all a part of the story. She's just using them to make up her story. And you know what really leads me to believe this? This is how they're going to play this out. That it's all been in Laurie's head. She's in a mental hospital. She suffered PTSD so fucking bad, she doesn't know the difference between real and fake anymore. I had a channel once called the LO3 Variety Channel, and do you know how many of Dave McRae's fans came to my channel on my comment section? Well, don't you know that John Carpenter never wanted a sequel? That John Carpenter never wanted to do Halloween 2? Don't you know that? Didn't you know that? What the fuck's wrong with you? So here's my question. How would you write that? How would you write? I'm not meaning anyone specifically. I'm meaning anyone in general. How would you write somebody a movie where nothing actually happened, but it appeared to have happened? Oh, you would write it as it all happened in their mind. And so that's what you're seeing. Laurie Strode is telling you this in her mind, and once this reality snap happens, you're going to see her doctor, and that's going to be the reality. Her in her room going, he's real, I'm telling you, he's real, he's out there. That's going to be Laurie Strode. In my opinion, that's going to be Laurie Strode. Because John Carpenter has never, ever wanted a sequel. And again, how would you write that? How would you if you wanted a perceived sequel or something that looked like a perception, but in actuality, what you're seeing isn't really happening, how would you do that? Oh, these things you see, it's not real, but the people in it are in a sense real because they all work at the hospital, or the people you do see, some of them are made up. There's a bit of both. It would explain everything that's happened in this trilogy. It would explain Laurie Strode sitting in her car hallucinating Michael walking through fire before they set his ass on fire. It would explain Karen seeing Michael Myers in a window when Karen has no reason to see Michael Myers in a window, especially as a kid. I could see if she saw him in his costume that she just saw, that I would understand. It would explain both phones ringing and Michael just picking up and breathing. And what does she say? I'm coming for you. Oh, and it would also explain, here's Laurie Strode at the end of Kill saying, I'm the one that has to kill it. And then 4 years later, she hasn't been trying to kill shit. She hasn't been trying to kill anything. Neither has Allison. That would explain everything. That would explain this entire movie, this entire trilogy. Plus, like I said, John Carpenter never wanted a sequel. So how would you write that? How would you write that? You would write it as somebody hallucinating the events. Only you didn't know it was a hallucination. You didn't know this was going on in someone's mind. And generally, when somebody loses their fucking mind, they, so to the degree it's that bad, they can't tell real from fake. They can't. Because the only thing they know is an event that happened to them 40 years ago, traumatized them to the degree. That's the only person or thing they think about. And again, in these three movies, including the trailer, who does Laurie Strode think about? Michael Myers. Who does she obsess about? Michael Myers. So, for me, this is all one big hallucination. That's what this is, in my opinion. This is all playing out in Laurie Strode's mind. She, yes, the events of 78 did happen, but yes, she was attacked, but surviving the event traumatized her so bad she never recovered from it. She never recovered from it. Think about it. Here's this woman, and I'll get to the other thing too that's really cementing this too in my view. Here's this woman who was stalked by somebody who she didn't know who it was. Somebody was watching her. That same person killed Bob, Linda, and Annie, her three friends, for no rhyme or reason. Showed her his sister's headstone for no rhyme or reason. This person, you're telling me, tried to live a normal life. Clearly they didn't. Because when they sit there and they're telling you, well, Michael's out to get me, Michael's out to get my family. By the way, in Halloween Kills, what does Hawkins tell her? Sartain brought Michael was bringing Michael to her. Michael wasn't looking for her. By the way, by the end of Kills, what does she say? I'm the one who's got to kill it. What does she say in the trailer for Ends? I think he's been watching me. So you think he's been watching you, though your friend, the person who loves you, who told you at the end of Kills, said point blank he was not after you. That person what, lied? No, it's all in her head. And it has been this whole movie. It has been. He didn't stalk her in 2018. He didn't stalk her and kill. She was in the goddamn hospital. Now you're telling me, oh, he's watching her. No, she's hallucinating this whole thing. Every person you see, some of the people you're going to see are real, are a part of her story, and some of them are just made up. because she's that out of her fucking mind. That's how you write a movie that isn't really a sequel to the original. Because, hey, guess what? John Carpenter never wanted a sequel, right? There you go. That's my prediction. That's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. That's been my prediction. And I'm going to stick with it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. What do I give a shit? Okay? I don't. I could give a fuck less. I really could. I have no vested interest in this trilogy, not one goddamn bit. What do I hope happens after it? Well, number one, I hope Andy Matichak has a fucking actual career and gets an opportunity to get put over. That's number one. And actually gets to be part of another franchise where she actually gets an opportunity instead of getting dicked around. That's number one. Number two, I hope they do a television series and hire really competent writers who know what the hell they're doing, unlike this trilogy. So that's how I feel about it. Point blank. Point blank. All right, I'm Resident of Collinwood. You guys have a nice night. I'll see you in the second video.